Welcome back for those who are subscribed, and welcome to those who are new to this channel. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button so therefore you can join our village, you can join our family as we continue to support one another through the healing process and recovery overall. So thank you. I also want to say I appreciate the messages that have been sent to me, just sharing a little bit about their recovery process and then other topics they would like me to cover. So I appreciate that because it does help me to figure out what videos to push out for the week. And it also gives me an opportunity to figure out who I could bring on this channel that could also shed light on different topics. Because I have a group of colleagues that are also in the field that enjoy what they're doing. So they would be more than happy to come on and to discuss a topic with me in reference to what we're discussing here. So please subscribe. It helps me help you. So today I'm going to talk about a topic that I enjoy teaching. In fact, I cover this topic at least once a week in the program that I am enrolled in, and that is trauma. I enjoy talking about trauma because, much like myself, I have noticed that in speaking about this topic, a lot of people leave the group enlightening and motivated and also inspired to share with others how trauma shows up, which is normally different from what they thought. And, when we're speaking about trauma, a lot of people only think that it's related to car accidents and shootings and things of that sort, which it is trauma, but trauma includes so much more life circumstances that we are experiencing, that we have experienced that are not normally discussed. So I'm hoping that by the end of this video, you will have more insight on trauma, how it looks, a little bit of how it looks, and then also one of the responses and symptoms of trauma. Hopefully you'll be able to identify it in yourself if you are experiencing it, or in others to help them navigate and move through this process, right? I know there was a lot, but if you stick with me, hopefully I can break it down a little bit more. So trauma, there are three types of trauma that is commonly discussed in the clinical world, and that is acute trauma, chronic trauma, and complex trauma. So I'm going to ask you a question. Which trauma is commonly discussed and is most recognized? Acute, chronic, or complex? Hmm. If you said acute, then you are correct. Acute trauma is what is mostly recognized or identified when we're talking about trauma. So if anything, there are people who know and about acute trauma. So that is what I talked about earlier. That is the car accidents, the random shootings that may happen. We're talking about single incidents that occur in your life that happens one time, has had a major impact on your life, but then again, it doesn't happen again, right? It could also be related to things in reference to Mother Nature, like we have hurricanes, tornadoes. But if it's a single incident, there are some of us that have suffered from acute trauma. So then we have chronic trauma. So chronic trauma is when an incident occurs over and over again. So that's more of when we're talking about our domestic violence, our sexual assaults, and things of that sort. Then we're talking about complex trauma when there is more than one trauma that has occurred on a continuous basis, right? So we are talking about domestic violence. You maybe have been exposed to domestic violence while also being raised by a parent that had a mental health or substance use disorder. A lot going on, complex, right? You have more than one different type of trauma that you're being impacted by. And then the other one, which is not discussed as much as a type of trauma, however, it is, and that is historical trauma. So we're speaking about those who are descendants of the African culture, African Americans, in reference to slavery, segregation. And then we're talking about the horrible things that happened to the Jews, and then also the Native Americans that many people from that culture or descendants of these people are still experiencing today. So that's the historical. So if you have time, I would challenge you to go look up, do a little bit of research about those four types of trauma, and then challenge yourself to kind of learn more about those. But those are the type of trauma that are discussed in the clinical world. And so when we're talking about that, um, you are more likely to see symptoms of someone that has experienced some trauma before you would know what they have been traumatized by. And so that's why it's more important. You would never be able to, very, very rarely will you look at someone and you could tell that they have been through or they have experienced the type of trauma they have been through, right? Usually you cannot tell. However, what are loud signs, especially to me, are their symptoms? How do they present? So if they have low self-esteem, if they're not confident, if they are scared to get in a vehicle, if they don't feel comfortable speaking up, if they don't feel safe around either males or females, all those things to me are signs or symptoms that are loud to me. If you have nightmares, if you are unable to go to certain places without hyperventilating or your heart beating fast, to me, if I'm with you, that would be a loud sign that there has been some type of traumatic event that has not been addressed. Okay. And so one of the things that I want to spread more light on today is people pleasing. People pleasing is something that many of us have experienced or are experiencing right now that I would recommend you begin to work on today. Because I will say this, people pleasing does not serve you at all. People pleasing does not serve you at all. And it's like a constant race with no finish line. Okay. When you are at a space where you are always trying to people please, you are constantly trying to gain the validation of others when in fact you have to start with love and confidence within yourself. And that's the truth. So what does people pleasing look like? It looks like codependency, right? It looks like having trouble saying no, right? It looks like knowing that you have certain values and beliefs in place, but in order to gain the validation and the love and support of other people, you sacrifice that. That's people pleasing. What does people pleasing look like physically? It can look like always being anxious, right? When you're going in a room, always thinking about and hoping that people will like you. Anyone experiencing that? I bet so. I bet so because it's common. And so I want to create a space where people can acknowledge it, recognize it, but then learn how to move through that because it is important. If you are serious about growth and you are serious about change, then you have to change, feeling the need to be validated by others. Now, I will say this, we are relational people. So we love being in connection with other people. We love that others love us. We love that others may support us. But if we're looking at reality, will we always get it? No. And so you want to create a level of confidence in yourself that whether you get it or not, you're going to always thrive because you are motivated within yourself. You love yourself and your confidence is at a level where you are secure in yourself. And so with that, think about what are some of the reasons that will cause someone to become a people pleaser. I would challenge you to look at your childhood. Most of the time it starts in your childhood. Were there times where you didn't receive validation? Were there times where there were major moments that were important to you, but no one showed? Were those times where you only received attention or others only talked to you when you were doing wrong? You were only disciplined, never celebrated? Were those were you a child that was raised in a home that had limited parental supervision? So you was always on your own, making decisions on your own, right? Or either were you one of those children that had to fulfill an adult role because your mother or your father or your guardian was not able to fulfill the parental role, was not able to take care of themselves or you as they should. Whatever it is, those are a few situations that usually create the need to want to get validation for others because they did not get it in that home, right? And so it's so important and necessary for you as you continue to grow and heal on your journey that you begin to speak to that child and heal that child from within. Because if not, you're going to continue to run that race that I've told you that is never ending. And the reality is this, usually if you're a people pleaser, you are trying to gain the validation and the love and support of people that really don't have intentions of giving it to you anyway. You notice that? Because if you truly have to fight for validation and love and attention from someone, then the chances is that they're not even invested in it anyway. But a people pleaser have trouble recognizing it. And so when they see people that are demonstrating the same behaviors that have shown up in their childhood, they have a, I would say, an unintentional response to want to fight for that validation, right? Or I see they're not really interested. I'm going to do whatever I can to to show them that that they need to support me, or to show them that I care about them. I'm going to overexhaust myself in order for that validation. And that is not how healthy love or relationships work. So I would challenge you to look at the different types of trauma that was discussed at the beginning of this video. I will also recommend that you figure out what your boundaries are, right? If I was to ask you today, what are some of your boundaries as a friend? Tell me what are some of your boundaries. What are some things that you absolutely do not like? Or what are some things that put in this relationship or this friendship and you are unable to tell me anything? I would challenge you to go look at your list and create one. And the other thing is, how are you with saying no? Are you able to say no with confidence and stand them? If not, work on saying no. And there's so many different ways you can say no without sounding so harsh, which could be searched up on Google. There are so many different ways and unique sayings that you could say that could come off in a pleasant way, but also communicate your sincerity and your seriousness of setting a boundary to others. So I hope that you was able to gain something from the video. If you have not already, please subscribe. Your likes, your support, it helps me push out more videos for the week. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you guys and continue to send me messages. So therefore, I can cover topics that are interesting to you.